We now move to wind-up speeches, and I call Maggie Chapman. Up to 4 minutes, Ms Chapman.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. It is interesting, perhaps serendipitous, that this debate follows the earlier ministerial statement on low emission zones. I was heartened in that statement and the questions to hear the Cabinet Secretary state very clearly that the primary purpose of LEZs is to improve public health. It was not all that long ago when many people could not see the links between our transport infrastructure and individual and community health and well-being. As my colleague Ariane Burgess said in her opening remarks, we understand that a well-maintained road network is important for our economy and our communities. But it is not enough on its own. Our transport system also has an impact on physical and mental health, on access to culture and leisure facilities, on access to education and work, on so many different aspects of our lives, pretty much every aspect of our lives. In that joined-up way of thinking, so we need an integrated and coherent approach to transport. We should, as highlighted already this afternoon, be doing all we can to change how we use our roads. If we reduce the amount of freight and commuting traffic on our roads by shifting goods and passengers to rail, then we reduce the building and maintenance costs for our road network and our local authorities. Modal shift for people and for goods is vital. It is good for safety, it is good for climate emissions, and it's good for efficient and effective use of public money. Modal shift will also mean that we don't just replace polluting vehicles with electric vehicles. Private car use does not always meet people's needs, and we know we can catalyse shifts away from car use if we provide alternatives. We see that very, very clearly in other parts of the world. And for those people who say that we need to retain we just need a replacement of internal combustion engine vehicles with electric vehicles, I think if we look back over 100 years, when the Victorians were looking at their transport system and they wanted to get between places better, one of the answers was faster horses. That works up only to a point. Along comes the combustion engine and changes everything. We know with technology and the right kinds of investment we can do that. Our transport system is also a key driver of inequality in our communities.
Mr Ewing. Please continue, Ms Chapman.
Our transport system, the Tories might not want to listen to this, but this is actually something that fundamentally affects your constituents as well as mine. The transport system is also a key driver of inequalities in our communities. Those who do not have access to cars need affordable, and Scottish Greens would say free, public transport. We should be investing in buses and trains, and I thank Alex Rowley for highlighting the Bus Partnership Fund in his amendment. People in the lowest income group use bus services more than 3 times as often as those in the higher income groups. According to the Equality Trust, the richest 10% receives £977.4 million in transport subsidy. The poorest 10% receive just £296.7 million. Road building is a subsidy for wealthy, usually white men who are the main beneficiaries of reducing journey times between cities. So we really need to think about what our transport infrastructure should be there to do, for who it's for, and to prioritise public investment accordingly. But some roads will be necessary, so we need to make them as safe as possible. We've heard much about safety already this afternoon, but I will just reiterate one point. There is substantial evidence that shows speed is the primary cause of accidents on our roads. If we reduce speed, we save lives, and dualling roads does not reduce speed. In conclusion, Presiding Officer, our constituents and our communities deserve sustainable transportation solutions that benefit everyone. We must take seriously our responsibilities to those for whom the current systems do not work. And we must also take seriously our responsibilities to future generations by leaving a transport infrastructure legacy that supports a greener, healthier and more connected future.